Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and I thought today I would actually show you what a real day in the life of is down in the fish room. Now, every morning I get up, I drink my coffee, and then I head down to the fish room, generally by about 8 a.m., where I clean up the previous day's messes and start doing water changes. Now, Captain Cranky Pants, my ancient Oscar, does get a water change every single day because he's old and geriatric, and I'm trying to keep him as healthy as possible. And I'll spot clean the bottom of his tank, then start other water changes where I manually siphon into my drain ports, taking care as well while I'm doing these water changes to hover my siphon over areas of dense planting like mosses or carpeting plants in order to remove any accumulated debris. I also take this opportunity to prune any leaves that I see, pull out any hair, algae, and generally just sort of keep up with the aquariums. At this time as well, I'll start to refill aquariums, making sure that I keep the nozzle out of the aquarium so that there's not cross-contamination. While these tanks are draining and filling, I spend a lot of time just looking around at all the various aquariums, and then I'll start to feed. Today I'm feeding frozen cyclops and frozen daphnia, which I'll mix together, making sure not to forget that I'm draining and filling tanks, and defrost in some dechlorinated water. I feed a wide range of diets from frozen to dried and occasionally live things like worms, but a few of the fish are on pretty specialized diets like Captain and my baby Pollies and things like that. But again, I'll just put usually about 12 cubes of food into a dip and pour with some water, let it defrost, and then go around with my turkey baster to feed. Now, every time Captain has a water change, he just seems to love it, which is part of the reason I do it every day as well. Now, of course, it's not a very large volume, but it's just enough to get to watch his technicolor changes and make him happy, and it's very palliative for him. I'm just trying to support his immune system as he's 12 years old. I also take a look at any fry I have, like these baby bristlenose. These hatched a few months ago. I check in on some of my more expensive fish like high pancistrus, and then I get to notice cool things like brand new spawns of super red bristlenose plecos. They're so cute. Look how tiny they are compared to those neons. And this, of course, is their breeding aquarium, which is why it's hard to see sometimes. And then every time post-water change, Captain does his cranky pants dance. And once he's finished his cranky pants dance, I go ahead and feed him some of his pellets, which he ravenously enjoys, as evidenced here. Still continuing water changes, trying to make sure that I don't overflow any aquariums, but during this time as well, you can see that the food is fully defrosted, and this is when I'll go around and just take my turkey baster and spray it above the aquarium, again, avoiding cross-contamination, and bringing all the fish to my yard so that I can get a good, solid observation of them. I feed every aquarium in the fish room that has fish in it, this mix at least twice a week. I'm proud of myself for not flooding the fish room today. It happens several times a week. Move on to another side of the fish room. Again, making sure that I evenly disperse the food so that fish on all levels can eat it. Paying special attention to aquariums that have fry. Now onto the other side of the fish room. Same thing again here. Generally ending with the Hillstream aquarium because I really enjoy watching that one eat the most. I'm not going to focus on that one today. After I fed all those fish, then I feed the big boys a mix of freeze-dried krill and pellets. You can see they get very excited. I also particularly enjoy watching this aquarium eat, so I always make sure I spend some time doing so. I like watching the pollies at the surface slurp up their food. You gotta admit that's cute. This is, of course, my favorite fish in the fish room. Then I drop some pellets in for the baby polly, the Delhaize that I have. Now they're still pretty small and a bit shy, so I tend to overfeed them a bit and then just spot clean their aquarium a bit later. Then I go back and continue to watch my fish. I like to, I get a lot of questions about why I don't automate my system, and it's because I really, really enjoy this part of catching sneak glimpses of things like this catfish coming out of a hole in the wood. I don't know, it just provides me a whole lot of joy. This is my baby Endley. It's growing really, really well now that it's on. And then again, I just watch my fish. While tanks are filling, I tend to sit in my recliner and really just take the opportunity to enjoy what I do. Managing a fish room like mine is a labor of love. It is absolutely a ton of work. I spend between 3 and 4 hours each morning just cleaning aquariums and feeding fish, not to mention trying to control the chaos that I create through doing so. And it's really important to me that I get to spend a fair amount of time each day as well, just sitting in my chair and really just enjoying the fruits of my labors. All these fish have such cool behaviors. There's such a broad range of species in my fish room that I really, really just cannot express to you enough how much I enjoy the entire process of aquarium keeping, even the dirty parts. And seeing my fish color up and thrive and be in good condition is very soothing and exceptionally rewarding. I check back in on the baby dells and make sure that they're eating, which they are, but you can see with the shape of their pellets how it would be easy for them to confuse gravel. So again, really important to make sure that you don't have them on fine gravel that they could ingest. Then I generally peek in on my shrimp. It takes them a while to come out of the bushes for me to really get a good inventory. These are my wild bumblebees. Then I generally check in my various tangerine tigers, which are these guys, really, really pretty. And then I start checking in on the neos because their tanks are adjacent to the tangerine tigers. First up, we'll have my yellow shrimp. They're breeding well. I'm pretty excited to get all of these guys, of the neos anyway, out into the greenhouse. Then we check on the new red really tank. You can see there's babies all over the glass, so I'm not scraping it, which makes it not the best for us to view, but you can see the shrimp are looking good. Then onto the cherry shrimp, which has had a massive population boom since I added those botanicals. I don't supplement this aquarium at all. And you can see that there are just shrimp everywhere, which is exceptionally rewarding. Then we'll check in on my super tigers, which are looking amazing. And then it's time to leave the fish room and get started on the projects outside as well as the greenhouse. So my husband and I are big believers in upcycling, reusing, and just trying to not waste things and to repair things. And this was a sink that we found in the trash in a dumpster somewhere. Some old boards we had laying around, and we set it up like this to grow herbs and lettuces, but our chickens had other ideas. So I'm going to take it apart and use this like tray system in my greenhouse to grow spinach and lettuces for our family. Now the goal for the greenhouse is to really grow stuff all summer long that we can use. Because we live in such a rural area, we have quite a lot of deer that bed down in our yard, as well as tons of rabbits and squirrels, raccoons, possums, fox, bobcat, and even the occasional black bear. And because our property has so many mature trees, as the trees have aged, it's made it nearly impossible for us to grow any sort of vegetables in our yard. Now, growing up, my family raised almost all our own food, so it's been kind of weird to not be growing my own the past just maybe 3 years. And I'm excited to get back to that. And we have some plans to repurpose some other bits and baubles around the yard in order to make spots to grow potatoes and things like that in the yard. Plants whose emergent growth, if you will, is not as palatable to a lot of the pests we have in our area. So I'm going to take this apart, and then we'll go take a quick look in the greenhouse, see how the plants are doing. I do have some sprouts of some of the various things I have planted, and then get to more work. Remember how I told you we like to reuse things? Well, that wood box was actually a previous manifestation of summer tubbing. And I found a bunch of stuff I must have hidden underneath it. Pumps and baskets and soil, so that's a score. Speaking of soil, I saved the soil from inside these bins to reuse. I figure chickens have just been digging and crapping in them, and chicken manure is common additive to organic soil, so it's a win-win. I will mix it with some potting mix and fill these up. It already has drain holes drilled in the bottom to allow for drainage, so it should work out great. So I'll add a couple cubic feet of organic potting soil to this, mix it up, and then fill it. You can see I have quite a few things started growing. And I really think this is going to work out well to grow lettuces. Again, it has holes drained, or holes drilled in the bottom here and there, which allow for drainage. I will be having some trays coming in to add on top of that, so I'll wait to fill these until then. So in the past, I've only ever grown stuff outside. I've always started seeds indoors, but I've never had a greenhouse before. So this is going to be a real experiment. I'm doing some onions, some jalapenos for my husband, some broccoli, some green beans, some bell peppers, romaine lettuce, chives, parsley, basil, serrano peppers. I'm sprouting sweet potatoes to grow, more onions, and then I have some other mixes of seeds here to start. Things like peas and the beans will need some sort of support system. So the cool thing about this greenhouse is it has these tracks that you can mount things in. So I'll run string down to the beans and the peas so that they have something to climb. Otherwise they tend to fungus and mold and just not do well. See, all the plants are doing really great. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see sort of the build process of our potato box, for lack of better words. Otherwise, stay tuned so you don't miss any of the updates on the fish room and what's going on out here in the greenhouse.